Premier has declared an energy emergency across the province.
In the downtown core, there is no power.
September 11th, that's what's going through my mind right now.
Maybe this is Al-Qaeda's latest attack.
The officials aren't even sure at this point how extensive this power outage is. What I can tell you is we have reports of blackouts covering basically all of Ontario.
All of a sudden it's blackout.
We had no emergency backup systems go on. Employees used their cell phones to guide people down the stairs.
There is no subway, there are no buses, there are no streetcars, nothing for now. We're all stuck together.
I'm not able to contact my husband on the cell phone. I don't know about my kids. You know, it's all, I don't understand.
Toronto flights to New York are suspended at this moment. Pearson Airport is on backup power.
Well, reports of huge anxiety, obviously, particularly in New York. Tens of thousands of people in the streets, massive traffic jams.
For some reason or other, there was a power failure in northern New York or southern Canada.
You going to sleep at all tonight out here?
No, not much, but I'm okay. I'm all right.
Places people never imagined served as their beds, newspaper, or a briefcase, all they had to cushion themselves from hard, hot sidewalk. And amazingly, some of them oblivious to what was going on around them, fast asleep. This is a line of commuters all trying to get home to Long Island. It has been more than 12 hours now since the power went out here in New York City, and they were supposed to take the Long Island Railroad. Now, all of these people, thousands of commuters, waiting now to get on a bus to get home.
Here we are sleeping on the concrete, afraid to move your spot, like one of the bumps in the street.
You seem very upset.
Well, yes, I got on the 5:11 train yesterday morning. I was up at 3 o'clock.
Been waiting since about 5 o'clock.
And it's now, well, it's almost 4 o'clock till you get on that bus.
I didn't even realize, I didn't realize we were that late already. But, well, at least I'll get home.
And New York's main post office in Midtown turned into a massive encampment, the world's largest bedroom, as thousands of commuters left stranded and exhausted by idle trains tried to catch some sleep and forget about their failed attempts to get home. Did you ever think, ma'am, that you'd spend your night overnight in New York City on the steps, sleeping on the steps?
Never even imagined it. And here I am.
Hey YouTube world, Harvest is plenty, hope all is well. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your viewership. Please make sure you click the thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button. That way you will be notified when new videos pop up. So I just want to get straight to it. Less of me, more of the video. This was New York City. It was 2003, the great blackout that hit the Northeast, also stretched all the way into the Midwest. I put this video up. This is a repost. This was on my old channel that YouTube took down, so I'm reposting it. The people of New York City and across the Midwest area, they were caught blindly. They were caught off guard. And I think this is the way it's going to happen for all of us. Either we're going to be going to work, going to be coming back in rush hour from work, we're going to be on vacation, we're going to be running errands or something. And it's just going to be boof. No lights, no power, no anything. No warning. And at that point, you're going to be where you're going to be, and you're going to have what you're going to have. And if you're away from home, you're going to have to find a way to get back home. You know, and if you don't have any food because you didn't prep, you know, you just been putting it off, then you're going to have to survive with what you have and make do. And so this video is going to give you a frame of reference. And remember, at nighttime, when there's chaos like this, the looters come out, the rapists, the muggers, you know, the criminals come out. And speaking of that, I received some interesting comments for my last video about the Chinese malware. I'm not sure if they was able to post through because I know YouTube deleted a lot of them. I was able to read some of them before they got deleted. I'm not sure why YouTube did it, but they just did. I'm going to address those comments in a future video. I'm probably going to call it like Preps, God, and Guns or something like that to address some questions that some people had and some comments that I thought was a little out there that some people made. But anyway, check out these clips. Play the what if game. What if you were in New York City when this happened? What would you do? How would you survive? How would you make it home? If this was an extended blackout, not the 22 to 24 hours that you will see in these clips, but if this lasted for, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, what would you do? What if you had your children with you? What would you do? How would you get back home? You know. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. See you in the next video. Thank you. Take care and God bless.
Thousands of people won't forget the night they spent trying to sleep or just stay safe, jammed onto the sidewalk outside Penn Station and on the steps of the General Post Office. They're praying for the first train home. This morning, Mayor Bloomberg says people should think of this as a snow day. Forget about coming into the city unless it's absolutely necessary. Buses are running, but they're not worth running for. There are no trains to connect with. And the buses that do run will be crawling through traffic. Walking this morning remains the main mode of transportation. The LIRR and Metro North are not running. And the subway system is in total disarray. There is no subway service. The trains that ground to a halt yesterday afternoon remain stranded in tunnels citywide. The Transit Authority says it will need 6 to 8 hours to straighten out the signals and switching system once power is fully restored. The MTA says it took 2.5 hours to evacuate 400 trains without any deaths or serious injuries, but with plenty of grime.
We were coming past West 4th Street and the power just went out and everybody got stuck.
There's definitely some people, a couple cars behind, by the time they got onto the tracks, were like hyperventilating and having some panic attacks. One guy, his friends had to sit him down here because he was shaking so bad and he was really freaking out.
For some people, it took hours to get to the surface, through tunnels, along walkways, over tracks, past rats. By the time they got to the surface, some people seemed burned out.
It was just the not knowing, you know, if we'd been told it would be 2 hours and the fire department on their way, it'd be fine, but it just got hotter and hotter and I didn't know what was happening.
Looters took to the streets in some neighborhoods overnight, and after more than 8 hours of darkness, America's largest police force was stretched to the limit. Across the city, New Yorkers abandoned their sweltering apartments and partied into the night on street corners and neighborhood bars. And this was the scene outside Penn Station, where hundreds of commuters simply gave up on getting home. It began at 4:10 Thursday afternoon, a chain reaction power failure that swept the Northeast. Office workers poured into the streets, traffic lights went out, and gridlock gripped Manhattan.
How would you describe traffic in the city right now?
Chaos. Complete chaos.
Subways stopped dead in their tracks, and thousands were stranded underground. They inched their way along the walls, staggering blindly through the tunnels in total darkness. They relied on pen lights, lighters, even the light from our TV camera.
So it was just a really terrible experience for me. I never want to go through nothing like this again. I'm all shaken up. I just want to get home and hug my family.
Con Ed's power grid is managed from this war room on the west side, and after more than 12 hours, the cause of the blackout was still not clear.
I am asking that question, New Yorkers are, and I'm confident we're going to work until we get the answers to it.
At one point, the FAA suspended air traffic into and out of New York City, but the 911 system held up under enormous strain. And so did New Yorkers, people like Pamela Vitale, who joined her neighbors in Tribeca, directing traffic.
Do you know anything about directing traffic?
No, it's just trying to help the neighborhood because it's just a little too chaotic here and people are crazy. They don't pay attention to anything. So we're just trying to do our bit.
Are you going to sleep at all tonight out here?
No, not much, but I'm okay. I'm all right.
Places people never imagined served as their beds, newspaper, or a briefcase, all they had to cushion themselves from hard, hot sidewalk. And amazingly, some of them oblivious to what was going on around them, fast asleep. This is a line of commuters all trying to get home to Long Island. It has been more than 12 hours now since the power went out here in New York City, and they were supposed to take the Long Island Railroad. Now, all of these people, thousands of commuters, waiting now to get on a bus to get home.
Here we are sleeping on the concrete, afraid to move your spot, like one of the bums in the street.
You seem very upset.
Well, yes, I got on the 5:11 train yesterday morning. I was up at 3 o'clock.
Been waiting since about 5 o'clock.
And it's now, well, it's almost 4 o'clock. You get on that bus.
I didn't even realize. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that late already. But well, at least I'll get home.
And New York's main post office in Midtown turned into a massive encampment, the world's largest bedroom, as thousands of commuters left stranded and exhausted by idle trains tried to catch some sleep and forget about their failed attempts to get home. Did you ever think, ma'am, that you'd spend your night overnight in New York City on the steps, sleeping on the steps?
Never even imagined it. And here I am.
This is the news leader, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
What a difference a day makes, from lights out to lights on. But how did it happen, and could it happen again? And the stories that came out of the dark tonight, we were learning about dramatic rescues and how neighbors are helping neighbors. And good evening to you. I'm Liz Chow.
And I'm Bill Ritter. We begin with the latest on the blackout. And tonight, Con Ed says electricity in New York City is back up and running at 100%. The power grid restored after the worst blackout in U.S. history.
Thousands of people who were stuck in the city last night are finally home, getting a well-deserved rest.
And yes, the power is back, but the subways are not. They remain deserted and will for a while. We'll show you why.
And we start with the power. It is back on all over our region tonight. Con Edison telling us that the electricity is flowing again to all of its customers as of 9 p.m. tonight. On Long Island, LIPA says everything is back to normal. The same for New Jersey, where PSE&G says all of their customers are back online after having nearly 1 million people without power. And Connecticut Light and Power says it is dealing now with only sporadic outages, just a few hundred customers tonight.
And as the power comes back on, so does the spotlight on how and why this could happen. What kind of system is it that could, just like that, leave 50 million people powerless? Well, tonight we have a clue, and the hint is an old business theory. As General Motors goes, so goes the nation. Jim Dolan with late details. He's in Chelsea for us tonight. Jim?
Yeah, Bill, it was a GM plant in Lansing, Michigan that was the first to go dark, but the dominoes fell quickly from there. Within 8 seconds of the plant shut down, the subways in New York ground to a halt, and the lights went out as far north as Quebec. Well, here in New York, the lights are back on. Some of the last places to go back online were these high rises in Chelsea. But clearly, the system of energy interdependence that the nation relies on failed yesterday, and 50 million people suffered the consequences.
On the Lower East Side tonight, they were settling in for what they thought was going to be another long night. They were not happy about it.
They said 85% already have lights. What happened to the last 15%, which is us?
What will end when the power is restored for everyone started with 8 crucial seconds of commuter and power grid bedlam yesterday afternoon. Bedlam that turned the Northeast from a lit beacon you could see from the heavens to a region plunged into darkness. 8 seconds. ABC News has learned that it started in Lansing, Michigan at 4:09 and 2 seconds yesterday afternoon when 2 General Motors plants there lost power.
Once that disturbance occurred, shortly after that, about 4 seconds after that, we saw another disturbance of similar magnitude in a nearby location. And then we started seeing ripple effect.
But that ripple effect occurred in only seconds. 4 seconds after the Lansing incident at 4:09:06, the power crash skipped to suburban Cleveland, traveling along the Ohio-Michigan grid. And again, a General Motors plant went dark, this one in Parma, Ohio. And this is the real epicenter of the Northeast blackout that followed. What should have happened here is that Ohio should have separated itself from the rest of the country so the blackout would remain localized. It didn't, and the power company, dominoes, kept tumbling.
The system is designed to isolate itself, to protect that area, to have that area go down and have the rest of the system survive. And instead it spread further and longer than it should have.
A spokesman for First Energy of Ohio said it followed all the proper procedures, but would not say if it triggered the blackout by not separating from the national grid. Others were more certain.
If they had separated, you might have seen a region in the Ohio area that would have been without power, but you would not have seen it on almost a national scale as we did.
8 seconds after Lansing went dark, a swath of the Northeast as far north as Quebec followed suit, and suddenly 50 million people were without power, and 22 nuclear power plants shut down in order to avoid the kind of power surge that could cause even more trouble. As it was, it sent the people of the great Northeast out of the high-rises and onto the streets. There were only limited acts of looting, just a dozen arrests in New York, far fewer than on a normal Thursday night in the summer, and there were some examples of price gouging.
A block away from my house, I used to buy this for 99 cents. I bought the flashlight for $10 and $2 for the batteries.
But for the most part, it was pleasant and in some places even festive, a far cry from the 3,000 arrests during the blackout of '77.
If you compare what happened this time to what happened back in 1977 when there was chaos and crime, today we've seen calm and compassion.
Still, nobody wants a repeat of last night anytime soon, and the governor is calling for an investigation.
This shouldn't happen in the 21st century in a country as advanced as America.
All right, Grace, thank you very much. And if you're just tuning into us right now, blackout hits the region shortly after 4 this afternoon throughout New York, throughout much of the Northeast, well over into Detroit, Cleveland, up to Canada. Thousands of people without power, thousands of people fleeing out of New York City by foot. Scenes very eerily reminiscent of 9/11, but the word came very quickly after the blackout hit that terrorism was ruled out. Mayor Mike Bloomberg saying terrorism was ruled out. This appears to be just some type of power failure that began near the Canadian-New York State border. The exact cause, it will certainly take Con Ed some time to pinpoint. Here in Westchester County, off-duty police officers are out on the roadways directing traffic. The lights are out. The situation in Westchester, though, much calmer than many people might expect. And we're going to go right now to News 12 Westchester's Rob Hoyle, who's out for us in Yonkers tonight. Rob?
Blackout has really taken a lot of people by surprise. A lot of people coming up here to the A&P food store on Nepperhan Avenue in Yonkers are finding it's closed, and they really don't know where to go to get supplies that they might need, like water, batteries, or candles.
Walgreens, which is open 24 hours, they never close, but it's closed now. And
how are you going to get through this?
I don't know what I'm going, and I'm a hard patient. I go like, you know, really, and I live on 6th floor, no elevator working.
So far it's okay, but you know, I know eventually by the end of the night I'm gonna need the milk to be cold and, you know, enough water for the kids.
Right, they say drink plenty of fluids. It's hot, you have no air conditioning right now. So you don't know what you're going to do right now, or what are you going to do? What's the plan?
No, I'm just trying to go around to see what I could find.
Okay.
I already got some candles, but I need the ice.
Many people tell us they've been driving around trying to find any store that's open where they can get some supplies, but so far say they have no luck, that everything just seems to be shut down. In Yonkers, Rob Hoyle, News 12 Westchester.
Thank you, Rob. That is a difficult situation for folks who have young children or who might have food in the refrigerator that might be spoiling by now.
Certainly.
A difficult situation. Now, Tracy Everson was standing by at our in White Plains at the Emergency Operations Center, and she had pointed out that the main concern for officials up there right now fuel deliveries for all the emergency generators. Robert Wolf telling us that 287 was basically jam-packed, people going nowhere fast, and the fuel delivery for generators is definitely a key issue. We here at News 12 Westchester, we've been on because of our generator, but I'd say about 10-15 minutes ago we got the official word that the power here at News 12 Westchester is back on, which is actually very good news for us.
Two hours later, it's back on for us. And just to recap a few other main points here in Westchester County. The Westchester County Airport is open. Indian Point is closed, as is the protocol in these type of situations. The airports in Manhattan are in fact open, but flights are certainly limited. And the main word that we've been saying all night is for people to stay off the roads. That's coming from all police, county officials. They want people to stay off the roads. In Westchester, people seem to be making an effort, certainly, to do that. It's a much calmer scene than the one that we've been watching in New York City throughout the evening.
And we were also told that the Liberty lines, the bus lines were running, so that's good news for folks who rely on the bus service there to get to and from where they need to go. We're also told that all officers, like you see here, the officer directing traffic on the Sawmill Parkway, officers on the Westchester County Police Force have been called to active duty. If you're off, you were expected to come in and act as human traffic lights, if you will. And a lot of the local police officers obviously staying overtime well past their shifts to, like this one here in Tuckahoe, that's Main Street, Tuckahoe. Things seem to be moving and running, and people are out on the streets, and police officers trying to make do with this very pressing situation.